Is real music dead? I guess I'll just start off with that question that I'm posing here. And of course I don't necessarily believe that in any way, shape, or form. But it seems that what we revere as being good music today is mostly a lot of sampled, over-processed garbage. And to start off, what inspired me to make this video was I was just cleaning up and I was listening to a YouTube video in the background, and it was a Weird Al Yankovic. I was watching a Weird Al videos yesterday. Weird Al Yankovic is an amazing artist, in my opinion. I grew up in the 80s listening to him, and I, Polka Party, and I had his, his version of Michael Jackson's Bad, which was fat, and it was cheesy as hell, but he's a very good artist. He's very creative and a very smart person. Well, I haven't really seen anything from him in a while, and I popped in and watched a video of his the other day that was, it was one of my favorite ones. It was like the Amish Paradise, which is like Gangster's Paradise. And, he's very respectful in the way he does it. He asks the artists if they mind him making a parody first. And he said the only person that's ever turned him down was Prince. And this was in an interview a while back. But anyhow, I found another video somehow linked to that was talking about Autotune, and it was explained by Weird Al. And I'm well aware of the Autotune industry and what it is, but it's an older video. But it was, it just opened up a few thoughts in my mind about people who think that they're real artists, but that are using Autotune in their music. Now, I'm not going to say that Autotune doesn't have a place, and I think most of you probably know what Autotune is. It's, if you don't, look it up. But it's really well used in the industry, and some people use it with obvious emphasis. So you can hear the notes changing, you know that it's being used, but the program itself can be used to make anybody's voice sound like perfect pitch. And so the issue becomes, well, if you're not a singer, then what are you doing? Well, if you're a songwriter and you can't sing, it may be a useful thing for some people, but it's always been of my view that if you're a songwriter and you can't sing, find a singer or train yourself to sing. Not everybody has perfect pitch, and a lot of people are tone deaf in a lot of ways, but what I'm getting at is Beyonce was, this is what, during that time when, let's say, when Kanye West went up on stage and interrupted, what was her name? Why does it slip my mind right now? She's the one that was on the, America's Got Talent or whatever, and she's pretty well known now. And when she, or Taylor Swift, and when she won the award, he comes up on stage and he's like, "Yo, I'm sure your music's great, but Beyonce should have got this. She's the best artist of all time." And I'm like, what kind of a douchebag interrupts somebody's? I was just like, wow. I mean, to think that people still respect this man after what he's done. Well, the thing is, Taylor Swift only had a couple of artists on her, that helped her on her album. Whereas Beyonce, apparently one of her new songs that just came out has 14 writers and 2 producers on one song, okay? There's over 60 writers attributed in the album. Now, of course, that includes samples and a variety of other things. But in my opinion, Beyonce is not an artist. She's working with other people to fill an image and a role. I feel the exact same way about, now I hate to say this, I know a lot of people think Kanye West is a phenomenal artist. He is an artist. That's fine. I can respect that. He writes his stuff, and I don't know how much, if he writes it all, or specifically how much he does, but he's an artist, but that has a really, really shitty attitude and treats people like crap and thinks that he's God. He's basically like the Trump version of in the music industry. And those are the kind of people that we scoff at. But what's really important here is that what I'm getting at is that we're going to like what we like as far as music. If you don't like something, you don't like it. You don't have to listen to it, and I'm the same way. But I'm not involved in the mainstream music. I grew up listening to a lot of offbeat kind of stuff. I think when I was in my teenage years, I listened to a lot of 60s and 70s stuff. Cream, Grateful Dead, Led Zeppelin. A variety of 70s bands, Black Sabbath, and I loved the 80s metal bands too. But here's the thing. '80s heavy metal music had more emphasis, more there was more artistic quality than any of this bullshit coming out today that is in the R&B or rap category. And I could say this without feeling like I'm dissing on rap and R&B because I love rap. I mean, I listened to NWA when I was younger. Does it mean that I think they were phenomenal musicians? No, of course not. I listened to Eminem. Does it mean I think he's a great musician? Actually, in that case, it does. I think Eminem is one of the best lyricists out there as far as rap goes. But at the same time, he's very crude in some of his songs, and, you know, every artist has their ups and downs, their positives and negatives. Some people are going to like aspects of them better than others. But there's one thing that every musician should have, and that's talent. That means you should be able to write your own music. I'm a musician also. I have played acoustic, or, well, guitar. I mostly grew up with an acoustic because I was never into the, fast jams. I was the folk-style guitarist. And when I was about 15, I was like learning a lot of Zeppelin songs and learning how to finger pick and doing a lot of older Crosby, Stills, and Nash & Young type stuff and Cat Stevens, things like that. And I really wanted to sing, so I taught myself to sing along. And it takes a while to get your voice to where it can match up while you're playing, to where you can, And when I finally got that dialed, the next step was to actually improve my voice, which is something that I didn't do very well, but over a period of months I was able to get it to where it was decent enough where I could just record my own songs for myself. And then the final step, which is the most difficult one for me, is lyric writing. Now, I'm an intelligent person. I have a decent vocabulary, and I have a decent amount of life experience and thoughts to draw upon and emotions. But I still can't write lyrics. I can write a great paper. People are like, wow, that's an awesome little poem. I can write poems. I can write short stories for fun. But when it comes to actually writing a song, getting my meaning across, archetyping, putting everything in metaphors, and really conveying my message is difficult. One musician I would say off the top of my head that I respect for that immensely is, there's several that I do respect. The Grateful Dead was a great band, but they didn't write all their own music. Robert Hunter wrote a lot of music and the lyrics for Jerry Garcia, and Bob Dylan songs were used as well. There were several people involved in the writing of the Grateful Dead songs, and many of them were taken off of older folk songs. But they were artists because they played their part well. Even if the lyrics of a song were written by Robert Hunter, they were performed for 20 minutes by Jerry Garcia and Weir and the rest of them. Just phenomenal songs with these orchestrated jams. The art form was there. So in the modern world, you can take a beat, loop, and a sample, throw them all together with somebody else's lyrics and auto-tune, and all of a sudden anybody can write a song. And there's one thing with respecting, I guess, a person who writes music, and another is calling them an actual artist. I just don't know if I can consider an artist a collaboration of 60 different writers on one album if you're going to consider it music. And maybe we need to set aside a new category of music that's, like all the boy bands that came out, since New Kids on the Block. I mean, they were the first one I knew of, I guess, back in the, 80s, was it? I don't know if it was that long ago, but yeah, New Kids were, I did not like them, I didn't like their music, but they were the first, boy band type Beatles band, that really came around. And this is what inspired a lot of these industries to create and manufacture boy bands. Bring in 5 guys, you get the, you get the tough looking guy, and you get the sweet guy, and you get all these guys together and say, look, I don't care if you can sing, I don't care if you can write, all you have to do is stand there and dance and look pretty. And other bands saw this happening, and it became a regular occurrence that people would throw these bands together just because each musician independently may even be decent in some of these projects. Those are the ones that maybe, I think, even irk me more is when you get not irk, it's not the right word, I guess it's just I kind of laugh at it when you get, say, 5 or 6 really good musicians together for a project. But you know that project is put together by a larger conglomerate or a company that says, we need to get all these artists together because this album will sell, or, people will like this. Or, having a guest star, say, Willie Nelson as a guest star on a Wyclef album, that kind of stuff. And these are actual, I don't know, it's often about profit motive. Very seldom does it actually seem like these people want to get together in a group and make this. If you don't work with the unit, it's hard to write music. I played in a band with my brother, a punk band, I guess, with a couple different lineups, and then years later he came back. I wasn't interested in punk, and we just kind of parted ways. And he wanted to do a jam band type thing, kind of like the Grateful Dead or Fish, or like a modern version. And I said yeah, and we just loved it. There was only 3 of us. I played bass and would back up vocals. My brother would sing and play guitar, and our drummer played drums and played his Moog synthesizer at the same time. The amount of stuff we could do with 3 people was great, but what was important is that we worked together. We weren't fighting each other. And a lot of artists are fighting each other. You know, they're like, I want to do this. No, I want to do this. And naturally, you're going to have a lot of conflict. I mean, the Grateful Dead, they were around for 50 fucking years. Pardon my language, but that is amazing. They are America. If there was one band that would define America, it would be the Grateful Dead. But I might even go as far as to say that that would be kind of offensive to the Grateful Dead. That maybe they define the world better than anything. They traveled everywhere. They sung about many different cultures and places that they'd been, and really had a feeling for, you know, life. Perhaps it was all that LSD. Who knows? I doubt I would ever want to attribute that, because I know that psychedelics do open the mind, but only an active, conscious person pursues that knowledge instead of just shuts down from it. So no, psychedelics don't make you more spiritual or aware, but they might be a catalyst for you to learn things on your own. I know they were for me, and I really actually I play bass. Actually, I'm sitting there looking at it right now. I haven't played it in a while, and I brought it out. I bought this this new bass. I can't remember even what, it's, well, let's see. Let's check it out. Here's my bass. It's a Spectre. There we go. And I picked that up because I really wanted to, it was about, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago. And I really wanted to play, I have another bass over here. It's a Samick from like 91 or something that I got, and it's thrashed, and I needed something that was decent. So I went out and bought that at, you know, the guitar store for just a few $100. And the reason why I started playing bass when I was about 16 is because I thought my fingers were too big for guitar. And they are big, but everybody has that problem when they start playing guitar. But I switched to bass for a while and played with our first band, which was called Dementia. And that was in, I think, let's see, 88 or 80, 1980, 89 maybe? Weird. And we didn't like play any, we played like one time at like a concert for friends at the teen center or something, and it's hard to, you know, all the different music we played. But anyhow, I grew up having a respect and reverence for good music, quality music, and so maybe that's why I'm a little bit biased towards, you know, some of these people who call themselves artists. Maybe it is kind of frustrating to see that people who really put forth the effort and spend their life dedicated to true music and art forms are seldom in the limelight or can earn a decent living. This is why we have the starving artist. It's a well-known saying, you know. I'm a starving artist. I want to be able to make a living off of art. That would be great. But just like anything, you're pushed out by the bigger, you know, the bigger monsters, the ones who can sponsor and tell people, this is what you like. This is the album that's coming out, you know. And it's just garbage, you know. To be honest, I didn't want to be disrespectful towards Kanye's music itself. So I actually went and listened to some of it and read some of his lyrics, because I'd heard so much about him being a great artist after I'd seen him be a complete douchebag to people. I mean, the things he says are just, you know, wild, but that doesn't change the fact that people think he's a good artist. That's all that matters. You're there for the art, not necessarily for the person. And so I listened to some of his songs and read the lyrics. I said, this is garbage. It really is. You know, this guy really thinks he's Jesus, and he can't even write like a 5th grader. I mean, it's just garbage. Sorry, you know, maybe I need to expand to a little more of his work. I don't know, but honestly, I don't see it, because a lot of these artists, I just don't see it. And I'm having a harder time thinking of, you know, because I'm just identifying rap and R&B, but when it comes to like modern punk and rock, heavy metal, it's gone down the drain too. I mean, I was listening to Metallica and Megadeth, and then when Pantera came out, oh my god, it was phenomenal. You know, that was hard-hitting heavy music. And of course there was bands like Metal Church and Sepultura and so many different metal bands, and some of them were okay, some of them were good. But it seems like today there's just nothing left of that. Like, all the music I hear is just surface garbage. Everything I've ever heard on the radio, and maybe I haven't been listened to the radio in a few years, but every time I turn it on or I'm in a car with somebody and it's on, it's just like, what is this, you know? Where's the meaning? And the few songs that do mean something just get pushed into the corner, you know. I think one of the greatest lyric writers I know is Isaac Brock. He actually lives in Portland. He's a strange fellow. He's had all kinds of, obviously, you know, his own thinking patterns, an interesting life, let's just say. And it comes out in his lyrics. They're phenomenal. I started listening to them about 2000, and I remember going to their concerts down in Portland, and it was so small and intimate, you know, they weren't well known yet, and then now it's just grown to where they have to do 2 shows, and they actually played the Rose Garden. I didn't go to that because it's too big, but I like smaller, intimate concerts where I can actually go up to the front and like watch the band play. If I have to sit in a seat a quarter mile away, it's not a concert. I'd rather just stay home. But anyway, there's my ramble about music. I got my point across, I guess, with the Autotune thing. You know, it's not that there's no place for it. It's just that when that becomes the norm, you know, it's what's left. If you can use somebody else's samples, if you can use somebody else's beats, if you can use somebody else's lyrics, and then just go on how you look and what kind of a video and how much money you can put into your video. You know, if you ever want to know if a song's good, listen to it. Don't ever watch a video first. Listen to the song by itself and see what substance it has, and really listen to the lyrics. But sometimes the lyrics might resonate with you that don't with me. So I guess that's why everybody likes something, and it's not about what's good and bad, but what is music, you know. It's up to the individual, I guess. Peace, and talk to y'all later. Have a wonderful day.